Hey there, I'm going to be talking about the 7 biggest mistakes that people make that ruin their travel budget. Now, for this video, I'm going to be talking about international travel. I do a lot of RV travel as well as USA domestic travel. Those are going to be different videos because there's different ways to save money on those types of travels, but for international travel is what we're going to be talking about today. But don't forget to subscribe if you want to catch those other videos and make sure that you don't miss those. But we're going to jump straight into number 1, which is choosing the cheapest hotel. Now, I know that sounds a little bit weird to say the cheapest hotel. Yes, we want to save money. However, choosing a cheap hotel is not necessarily going to save you money in the long run. Cheap hotels tend to not be in the center of town where things are walkable, and so you're spending more money on getting taxis into the center of town or getting taxis to places and tours. Tours don't always pick up from the outskirts of town, and so you're going to have to then get into the center of town in order to get picked up for tours. Also, the number one thing I always look for when I'm booking a hotel internationally is I want it next to a grocery store. That is going to be my godsend for when I travel because I don't like to spend a lot of money on food when I travel. And if you're near a grocery store that is within walking distance, you can stock up every single day, get your breakfast for the next day, get some snacks. Water is a huge thing that I very, very often will buy like gallons at a time. If my hotel doesn't have a water bottle fill station, I will go and buy a full 3-4 gallons of water and lug them back to my hotel room so that I have fresh water throughout my entire stay. So that is your number 1. Don't book the cheapest hotel. Book a hotel that is centrally located so that you can save money during your trip and not have to take taxis and go out to eat all the time. Another thing I commonly look for in my hotel is breakfast included. Now there's 3 options usually. Either there's no breakfast at all, breakfast is included at no additional price, or you can pay an extra amount of money to have breakfast. I don't ever do that last one. I don't ever pay extra to have breakfast included. Because if you're there for 5 days, you basically just pay for 5 breakfasts, and maybe 2 of those mornings you're getting up really early to go on an adventure and you're not going to be there in time for breakfast. You've already paid for that. And so I don't ever pay in advance for breakfast, but I do look for hotels that have breakfast included. The cost is already in there. I don't see that additional cost, and then you can have it if you want it, or you don't have to have it at all. If the only option is no breakfast or the extra price for breakfast, I opt for no breakfast because then I like to be near that grocery store. Go the night before, get some croissants and some orange juice and some cheese, whatever it is you want, and have breakfast in your room, in your pajamas, and you're not paying that $30+ for a big, massive breakfast that you're probably not going to eat $30 worth of food of. So make sure that your hotel has breakfast included, and if it doesn't, you're right by that grocery store and you can get your breakfast the night before. So as you can see, it's not about the cheapest hotel, it's about the best hotel for a reasonable price because you're going to need to factor in rides, taxis, Ubers, food, all of that stuff. And so that cheap hotel is most likely going to cost you even more in the long run. The other tip is that you want to make sure that your hotel room is refundable. So I like to book through hotels.com, not sponsored, but I do use them when I book hotels all the time, and I make sure that my hotel is fully refundable. You can actually filter out so that you say that you only want to see hotels that have a fully refundable option. And usually what that means is as long as you cancel within, it's like 24 to 72 hours before your check-in time, you can absolutely get a full refund, no questions asked, and no money lost. So I do like to make sure my hotel rooms are fully refundable because the other thing that I do is I like to book hotels pretty far in advance. And then once you have that booked and it's fully refundable, about every 3 to 4 weeks, I'll go on hotels.com and look at that exact same hotel for those exact same dates and see if the price has changed. It is not uncommon for that price to drop. And so if I see that price has dropped, like a good amount, sometimes it's like $30 a night. If that price has dropped, I will rebook that hotel, those exact same dates, fully refundable, everything, and then go and cancel my other one and get that money back, and then I've saved money. So you don't lose anything by having a fully refundable hotel, but you can absolutely save, especially if you're a little proactive and checking that website every few weeks to see if that price has dropped. So don't book the cheapest hotel, book the right hotel that is a reasonably priced one. Number 2 is overpacking. I really do not like that airlines charge a fee, and a huge fee, to check luggage. I don't want to give them that money, and so I don't ever check a suitcase. So what that means is I have to be very strategic in what I pack. I don't pack a set of clothes for every day that I'm gone. If I'm gone for 2 weeks, I will usually pack about 3 to 4 days worth of clothes, and then I will wash the things like socks and underwear that really are closest to your body. I will wash those in the hotel room sink every night, and if you get a merino wool, like travel underwear and socks, and you wash them in your sink overnight, they are dry by morning, and it is a godsend because I only pack 3 to 4 plus the ones that I'm wearing, sets of underwear, and then I pack maybe 3 or 4 shirts, a long sleeve, a sweater. That's kind of about it. And then pants, I'll have like leggings, joggers, and jeans. Generally, I want to be able to layer my clothes, so I can layer leggings under joggers or jeans. And so it doesn't really matter if you wear the same clothes multiple days in a row. I promise nobody cares, nobody's paying attention, and you're not having to pay those checked luggage fees. So don't be afraid to pack way less than you think you need and wash your clothes in the sink overnight, and you will save money. Do not overpack. It's not worth it. It's also really not fun to haul a suitcase around European cities. The roads and sidewalks in so many countries are not built for hauling checked suitcases, so don't bring it. Just bring a carry-on suitcase, a backpack, and you'll be good to go. I promise with a little bit of practice and a little bit of finessing, you won't have to ever check a suitcase again. Number 3 is eating in the wrong places. There are so many places that they mark up their food so much because they know tourists are going to pay that money. Hotels, airports, the touristy part of towns, they all mark their food up way more than they need to, and you don't need to be paying that. So if you're flying somewhere, pack a couple sandwiches, pack some banana bread, some snacks, some nuts, things like that. Have your snacks with you so that you're not having to buy food at the airport because, let's be honest, it doesn't really ever taste that good, and it's so expensive. I am like appalled at how much a bagel with cream cheese costs at a Einstein Bagels in an airport versus just one in your hometown. It's ridiculous. So don't pay those extra fees. If you can leave for the airport a little bit early and stop and get like some Subway or Jimmy John's or some sort of a sandwich, take that with you. It travels really nicely. It's easy to get through airport security, and you will have a nice, healthy, fulfilling snack without paying those outrageous prices. You also don't want to be buying food and water at your hotel. Again, if you book a hotel that's near a grocery store, all of those needs will be taken care of. You don't need to spend that money at the hotel because they also jack up their prices. Let's see, $6 for a 16-ounce bottle of water. No, thank you. I'll go next door, get a full gallon for 89 cents, and then I've got way more water, all the water I need, and I'm not paying those hotel prices. Also, if you like to drink soda or wine or alcohol, you can buy it at the grocery store. Have it back at your room. You don't need to be paying for that out at a restaurant where you're paying $14 for a glass of wine when you can get an entire bottle for $14. The other thing you can do is talk to the front desk staff and find out where the locals eat. I was in Barcelona not that long ago, and I went and talked to the front desk, and they said, well, if you go on this street, you're going to be paying the tourism prices. But if you go 2 streets over, that's where we eat. There's this restaurant called blah, blah, blah. You can go get a great meal there. So if you eat where the locals eat, you can definitely save money. The other tip to that is I don't like to sit in a restaurant and eat. I do a lot of solo travel, and I don't have any problem sitting in a restaurant alone eating, but I don't want to pay all that extra money to be sitting there, so I prefer to get my food takeout and go and eat it on my balcony if I have one, or down in the lobby of the hotel if it's really nice, or sometimes there's a park nearby. There's a lot of other places that you can eat that have a much better atmosphere than sitting alone in a restaurant, or even if it's you with a partner, sitting at a noisy restaurant and paying all that extra fee. Instead, get it to go find somewhere nice to sit and eat and save a few bucks here and there, because it really does add up when you're paying for all that extra service that you get when you sit down in a restaurant. So food is one of the major places where people overspend when they travel. Just be conscious about where you eat and how you eat. If it's a quick grab and go thing, don't get it from the hotel, get it from the grocery store next door. And if you want to eat out once in a while, absolutely. I mean, it's your vacation. Go have a nice glass of wine at dinner, but don't do that for every meal because it adds up so much. It's unbelievable how much money you can spend just by eating out for all your meals. So hi, I'm Krista Ann. I'm on a quest to check off 1,000 bucket list adventures. I hope you're enjoying this. Don't worry, I've still got 4 more tips for you, plus a bonus tip, so make sure you stick around to the end. And if you're a knitter, stick around to the very end because I've got a knitting tip for you for knitting the Sunrise Butte hat, and so make sure you stay for that. But I hope you're enjoying this. If you are, click subscribe. I would love to have you along for this adventure, but we're gonna go ahead and dive back into number 4. Number 4 is booking the wrong activities. So I do love to do tours. That's one of my main ways that I see places is I book tours. I usually book through Viator because they have a 24-hour cancellation policy. So I can book 3 days worth of tours, and if on day 3 I'm just completely exhausted and don't feel like going on those tours, as long as I cancel within 24 hours before that tour begins, full refund, really easy, no questions asked. That's a really great way to do it. This is how I do it for international trips. For domestic USA trips, I do it a little bit differently. I'm not going to go into that now, but when I'm booking tours internationally, I do like to book my tours through Viator. I can pay in advance, so that's not extra money I'm spending when I'm on my trip. And so it's a really great way to see the sites without renting a car and being able to sort of make your schedule in advance and sort of know what you're going to do on each day. But if plans change, you have that 24-hour cancellation policy. The other thing you can do is talk to the front desk and see if you can book tours through the front desk. It's not uncommon for hotels to have deals with local tour operators, and they can give you a special discount, especially on last-minute tours. They can also tell you which is the better tour company to go with or which is a better price, because they hear it all from all their guests, and they also just have sort of a beat on what's going on locally. So don't be afraid to talk to your front desk staff, because they will not only be able to help you with restaurants, but also with booking tours. And one other thing that sort of started happening with tourism is dynamic pricing. This is something that's fairly new, and I don't like it, but it's a reality and it's what it is. So let's say you want to go to the zoo. Let's say they have dynamic pricing. Maybe on Saturday, which is obviously one of their busiest days, it's a $28 for a ticket. But if you go on a Tuesday, it's only $18. You can definitely save that $10 if your schedule is flexible, and just check the website, make sure they don't have dynamic pricing, and if they do, plan accordingly to be able to save money on those dates when it's less busy. And honestly, going when it's less busy is more fun anyways, so that's just a really great way to check, save a little bit of money, and do a little bit of research ahead of time so that you're not paying those higher prices for the busier days. Number 5 is taxis and ride shares can really add up. That costs a lot of money if you're staying in a town and you're taking those everywhere. Try, again, to book that hotel that's centrally located so that either tours can pick you up from your hotel or you're within walking distance to the museums and the things that you want to do. Also, you can talk to the front desk and see if there is some sort of public transportation that can get you to that museum or that location for super cheap and very easy. The other option is walking. I love to walk new cities because that is the best way you get to see that town. I will walk 2 or 3 miles just to get to a park or a museum or a zoo if it's doable. Definitely want to check to make sure it's going to be safe and you're not going to be walking on highways or anything like that. So it does take a little bit of Google research, but it is a wonderful way to see the city and really get to know that town. Who knows what you'll see? Maybe there'll be some little shops that you get to see that you don't normally see. Just don't go spending a bunch of money in there. I will be talking about souvenirs coming up. You don't want to get too distracted going into those shops and spending the money that you saved by not taking a taxi. So just keep that in mind. But walking is a really wonderful way to see a city. I love it. It's just one of the best ways to get out and see a town. If you are in a big city and they have those hop-on, hop-off buses, those are also really great options because they will go all over town to all the big locations, and you can get a 1 or 2 or 3 day pass, and you can easily get on, go to that far destination that's maybe a museum that's 4, 5, 6 miles away that's not really walkable, and you can go to the museum and then you can get back on the bus, go to the next place, and you're only paying that one fee. It's like a $45 purchase for 1 day, and you can go to all those locations and get to them easily, and you're not stuck wondering how much it's going to cost to take that taxi. So definitely make sure you're paying attention to where your hotel's located and how much taxis and ride shares you're going to have to take, because that does become a very big cost if you're not careful. But if you can and you're able, walk as much as you can because it is my favorite way to explore a city. Number 6, have a souvenir plan. So when I very first started traveling, I, of course, bought all kinds of souvenirs, bought stuff for friends and family, really stuffed my suitcases, paid those overweight charges on checked luggage. Never again. I don't do that anymore. I love my friends and family, but they don't need to get a trinket from everywhere that I go. Send them a postcard. That is one of the best ways that you can let your family and friends know that you're thinking of them, and sending them just a nice little souvenir with a postcard, which is cheap You don't have to carry it around, you don't have to check it in your luggage, and they know that you've been thinking about them. So that's the best option for souvenirs for family and friends. And then for yourself, pick one thing that you want to bring home from each place you go. Some people do magnets, some people do stickers. I do push pin that I put into a corkboard. So I have my corkboard full of all the places that we've been, and I always buy a push pin anywhere I can. And that's my collection. It's small. It tucks into any little corner of a suitcase. It doesn't add weight, but it still gives me that memory of, oh yeah, I remember that time that we were there. So find a souvenir that works for you and just collect that one thing. Don't collect like snow globes or big things like that that are breakable and add weight and things like that. And please tell your friends and family you love them, you'll think of them, you'll send them that postcard, but you don't need to bring something home for them every place that you go. Number 7, don't worry, I've got one more bonus tip for you, is booking too late. Now, this generally applies to hotels and flights. Flights, I do tend to book 3, 4, 5, 6 months out in advance. I don't pay the extra fee to be able to change my flight because that can be a couple $100. So instead, what I do is if I'm going on a trip and I want to make sure that I can get refunded if anything were to come up, and maybe you have a family member that's sick and you might have to cancel your trip because you might have to take care of them. Maybe you know that you're accident prone and you don't want to break your leg right before you go on your trip. Rather than spending that few extra $100 on booking a flight that is refundable, I like to instead buy travel insurance because then that covers my entire trip. So if I have to cancel, it doesn't just refund me for my flight, it can refund me for tours that were not refundable. If my hotel has any kind of fees, any of that stuff, it's going to be reimbursable for everything. So rather than spending a few extra $100 on just a flight refundable ticket, buy travel insurance, and that's going to cover your entire trip, and it's way more better to spend that couple $100 on that rather than just for your flight. Now, as far as hotels, as I stated earlier, I book those hotels pretty far in advance, make sure they're refundable, and then I can check and cancel them and rebook them if it gets cheaper. But if you wait too long and you try to book those hotels last minute, all those good hotels that are really centrally located, really reasonably priced, really well reviewed, those are all going to be full. So book in advance, make sure it's refundable, and if something does come up, that's an easy thing to cancel. That's no problem at all. Hotels are the easiest thing to cancel as long as you book a refundable room. So flights, hotels, I handle those differently, but that's what I recommend. Just don't book too late because the longer you wait, the more the cost will be. And my bonus tip is something that's really hard for some people to do, but it's a reality, and that's don't move around too much. It is so easy to say, I've never been to Spain, I want to see it all, and I'm going for 10 days, and I want to see it all. You can't see all of Spain in 10 days. Trust me, I was in Barcelona for almost 2 weeks, and I didn't see nearly as much as I wanted to see. So pick one, maybe 2 cities. I like to do one city at least for a week. 2 weeks is great, but I like to do one city at least for a week and then really immerse myself in that city and do everything that I possibly can in that one city before moving on to the next one. Because what happens is if you have a week vacation and you decide you want to do Barcelona and Madrid, you spend 3 days in Barcelona, then you waste a day traveling to get to Madrid, and then you have 3 days in Madrid. And I can promise you that there is so much more to see than just what you can in 3 days. So instead of making a 1-week trip and going to 2 places, make a 1-week trip and really immerse yourself in that one place, because you can absolutely, I can't think of anywhere I've been where it's like, 1 week was enough. I can always find new things to do in new cities, and so don't move around too much, because if you spend too much time traveling, it's exhausting to travel. Even if you're just taking a train, it is exhausting packing everything up, getting your suitcase down to the lobby, getting your suitcase onto the train, getting to the train station, then getting onto the train, then getting to your next hotel and getting unpacked. That's a full day. It's exhausting, and it's really not that fun. So really immerse yourself in one place. Don't move around too much, and really soak in the place that you're at. So there you go. Those are the 7 common mistakes, plus a bonus, that people make when traveling internationally that are ruining their travel budget. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click that thumbs up like button. It really does help push my video out to others, and I so appreciate it. Next week, I'm going on another bucket list adventure. I'm headed to White Pocket, Arizona, which is like an otherworldly landscape. It's amazing. And then the week after that, I'm going to be talking about all of the things that I wish I had known when I first set out to be a full-time RVer. So tons of video coming up. I post every Wednesday. I'm Krista. Thanks for being here, and I'm going to be continuing on my quest to check off 1,000 bucket list items, and I hope you're along for the adventure. Knitters, stick around. Everyone else, thanks for being here. I'll see you on the next adventure. Bye! In this video, I featured the Sunrise Butte hat, and the link to the pattern is in the description below. One of the things that I personally love to do is take a pattern and adjust it slightly for my personal style. And that's what I really encourage you, especially on an easy project like this, is if you like that extra slouch. I know that extra slouch is super popular. It looks really good on some people. It does not look good on me. I don't like it. So I designed this to not be super slouchy. However, you're the knitter. You decide how you want to make it. If you have enough yarn, which for this pattern you absolutely do, and you like that extra slouch, I put instructions in there on how to continue so that you can make it as slouchy as you want it. And you can try it on as you go and decide how slouchy you do want to make it. Maybe you want to make it so that you can roll up the bottom. This inside stitch pattern looks great, and so you can roll up the bottom, make this longer, and as long as you have that extra yarn, that's the only thing holding you back, you can absolutely make it as long as you want. So don't be too married to a pattern. Remember that you're the knitter, and while you are knitting somebody else's design, you can make it to fit your style. I don't like slouch. If you do, go for it. Make it as slouchy as you want it. So just keep in mind, it's your piece, you're the knitter, you're the designer, and as long as you have enough yarn, you can absolutely make it one of a kind of your own.